Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Real Uncommon Podcast. It's our 190th live stream, and this is the Severed Floor, guys. This is where the Fremont crew over here discusses Season 2, Episode 8 of our favorite show, Severance. We did this last week. It was our first pilot episode. We had such a great time. We came back for Episode 2. We're going to discuss, actually, Episode 8. I hope I didn't confuse anybody, of Severance, and I believe that the episode this week, what was it called, guys? You guys remember what it was called?
Something vitriol.
Yeah. Something vitriol.
Sweet vitriol.
Sweet vitriol. That's what it is. So
we failed already. We don't even know what it's called.
Well, I wrote it on the thumbnail. But anyways, let's say hi to our intrepid crew here as we try to dive into the speculation of Lumon. We'll start with the Biggest Bro. How are you doing today?
How you doing, guys? Biggest Bro here. Yeah, ether. It makes your soul burn slow.
Oh, nice one.
And how are you doing, VideoShane?
I'm doing fantastic. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was had a lot of atmosphere, and I understand that it was a slower paced piece, but visually beautiful, and I think it allowed the cinematographer to really shine and do some stuff exterior that I know just watching some videos online that she had some trepidation about filming this series because of all the interior office kind of space, and I felt like she really took this opportunity to show this is what I can do.
Let's go. D, how are you?
Let's go. Hey, everybody. I am D1 and Only. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I really enjoyed the last episode, number 8. It was a slow kind of burn, but it was nice to see the outside world and not like what Shane said, the inside where they're just stuck in their boxes in the office. But yeah, so can't wait to dig deeper into it and what it all means and what everyone thought about it on the panel. Yeah, let's go. How are you, Hinano?
I'm good, and dare I say the innie than the outie world, right? So let's go on that. Well, guys, before we even get started, by the way, I'm doing really well, guys, but before we get started, let's do a quick synopsis on Season 2, Episode 8, and it's right here in front of my face. It's titled Sweet Vitriol. And let's go. It's basically a short episode, guys. I believe it was like only 37 minutes long. I think it's one of the shortest I've ever seen of Severance. It was also a slow burn. I know some people online looking at the reviews, they weren't happy with it. I'm with Shane. I really enjoyed this episode. I love a good origin story in its sense. So let's see what happened here. In this 37-minute episode, the focus shifts entirely to Harmony Cobell, I'm sorry. And I believe the actress name is Patricia Arquette.
Yep.
She has been absent from the majority of the show, basically the majority of the season. After fleeing Lumon in episode 2, Cobell arrives at Salt's Neck, which is a desolate coastal hometown, a former Lumon company town now crumbling in the wake of the corporation's abandonment. Her journey is both a literal and emotional return as she seeks something she left behind. So she reconnects with Hampton. It's a childhood friend and former factory coworker. This factory is where they made ether, which is what Big Bro talked about earlier. Anyway, she meets with an old friend who reluctantly helps her to sneak into her old home where her estranged aunt, Sissy Cobell, is living. A devout Lumon follower and worshiper, the aunt, tensions flare as Cobell confronts her past, including memories of her mother, Charlotte, who died while Cobell was away at the Lumon-run Myrtle Egan School for Girls. We've heard this school before in previous episodes. The episode climax delivers a bombshell inside a shed. Cobell uncovers a schematic and design hidden in the bust of Keir Egan, basically a face, revealing she invented the severance procedure, including the chips, the overtime contingency, and the Glasgow block, as the young Wintertide fellows do. Lumon, under James Egan, took credit for her work, exploiting her genius while indoctrinating her from childhood. Fueled by betrayal and armed with this proof, Cobell snatches the documents from Sissy, who tries to actually throw them into a fire. And then she flees in Hampton's truck and she heads out of Salt's Neck. And that's kind of where we are with the episode. There's more that went into that, but there's kind of like the synopsis right there. But guys, before we get into the breakdown of this episode, how did you like it? Now, Shane, you like the visuals. Now, a lot of people don't understand that Shane is actually an expert in video production. So kind of give us your take on the episode, the kind of embodiment of what you saw, and then also the visuals itself with your expertise.
Well, yeah, just the use of the way that she composed the shots and kind of this opening of establishing what the city is and how it's flanked on both sides by actually on one side is kind of floating ice and snow kind of thing. And then the other side is kind of water. It's still cold. And just the use of color, the entire location is very kind of blue and run down. And, as with most things with this series, it's definitely making a commentary about the way that large corporations treat their employees. And this is very reminiscent of like coal mining towns after they've used up their human employees and they just leave. And this is what it remains, these kind of rundown towns. And, the way that she was able to frame that and show how run down everything was, there's definitely some beauty to it, especially in the way that she composes everything. I was looking at some online reviews of the episode, and it was interesting. One person made a comparison. If you've seen the film The Shining, as Cobell is driving through the mountainous area to get to this remote town, it's very similar to the shot in The Shining where they're driving up to the hotel. And I don't know if that was done intentionally or not, but definitely, I think all artists are influenced by other artists, and some of that creeps into your own artistic endeavors. I think also just the use of, even though the colors are muted, the palette is muted in this episode, there's still some use of color. And one thing I noticed, like you can see in this shot that you're showing, the factory itself is kind of white on one side, and there's the newer section of the factory that has the old abandoned Lumon logo on the side is blue. When the cars pull up with Harmony and her old childhood workmate, their cars are also blue and white, and they're parked on the same sides. Just being able to show this separation between them. So that's the one thing that this show does so incredibly well for me, is showing as opposed to telling. If you watch a lot of television or movies and you hear exposition being thrown about, to me, then you immediately know how lazy they were as filmmakers. If you're able to show it as opposed to, like, even something as simple as when she's coming into the house and they're showing you the lines on the wall of Harmony as she was growing up, and the lines that says, 11 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, that tells you this is where she grew up without having somebody in the room going, "Oh, this is the house where you grew up, Harmony." Don't tell me, show me
Yeah.
what I need to know as an audience so that I stay engaged. Because if, there's plenty of television and movies out there where they're just telling you all the time. And with those, I can just sit and fart around on my phone while I'm watching the show because you're just going to tell me everything. I don't need to watch any of it. And so with this, you need to actually pay attention. The phone's got to go away.
I love that. Big Bro, what's your take?
Man, I can't say it better myself. Show me, don't tell me. And this episode was, like I said in the beginning, it's a slow burn. And just all the different things that they're commenting on real life and how, like Shane said, these companies come and in this case, not only use the resources of the town, but then took the human resources too. Like, we're going to take your best and put them in our schools and stuff like that and send them away. And just, it just shows you how even now, like how before in nature, you leave your footprint somewhere. And because of this ether that they were dealing with in these factories, now this entire town is addicted to said ether. And now the ramifications of, like, you have people who are devout, right? And I think this is like really cool because you saw, like, with her argument with the aunt, it was almost like you saw now Harmony versus season 1 Harmony, who was also in the white gown, like praying to the shrine, singing the Cure song. You know what I mean? She's all about it, and
Yeah.
watching somebody's kind of cultish mentality melt away, right? And then you start waking up like, wait a minute, I am important. And that was the thing about season 1. Like, we were looking at Harmony, like she's acting really weird, like she's very like short tempered. She threw the cup at the dude's head. Like, what's happening right now? And like when he's like, what are we doing here? We're serving Cure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like it's
You child.
yeah,
So-
it's because she's been programmed. And for her, for it to be her that created this is such a telling tale of like what's up, you know what I mean? Like, take it away from her, just take it away, like, no, get out of here, you know what I mean? And just, she had to eat that. And this is the first time where she's like listening to that part of her brain where she had to turn off, you know what I mean? Like, she had to sever, like, like her working in the ether factory, like, while she's at
Painful.
work. She's getting drugged. She doesn't know. She doesn't remember what happens at the factory. Like, that's probably what she came home, was like, I have no idea what happened there. And now it makes you think, like, because the founder was founded with him and his wife was working at the factory together, and then now you look at the painting that they were drawing, and homeboy sitting there with a big pot of ether, and she's just sitting there like this. And then, in the little book it says, true love is from an employer to an employee. That is like the true form of love. Like,
Sounds like a slave to me.
there's all sorts of crazy stuff happening right here, and they just started farming. So this is, and they never said the word cult, but it's flowing through there pretty wavy.
I couldn't agree more. What about you, D? What's your take on episode 8?
Yeah, I also noticed like the colors of the scenes were, it reminded me of like how it compares to The Office. Like when Harmony is driving to this village town, and it's white and bluish, very cold. And you can compare it to like when the other characters are at the office, everything is like just white. Once in a while you'll see something blue, like those stupid freaking balloons. But it, for me, I'm like, oh, it's like using those two main colors, but also in this icy cold town. And it also like depicts like growing up in a cold environment. Is that also like some symbolic to the character of a person as well, where they could
Mhm.
sometimes be like cold as well. Because I don't know, I think for me, like it kind of like portrayed how sometimes a character can be cold, kind of like their
Mhm.
environment where they grew up, kind of thing. And the iceberg, wasn't there a picture, like a frame of an iceberg, right, in the office?
Yes.
So I'm like, is that the freaking iceberg from this village town?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the episode, even though it was really slow. And I liked how it, even though you can get blinded by all the icy white ice and stuff, it also panels to where it's like also dark. Um, when they're at the house, at Sissy's house, and you can see like all the dark backgrounds. So it's kind of like also contrasting against each other, which I thought was interesting. That was my take on it. I enjoyed it. I do like also like finding more about harmony, because we don't really get a lot. We didn't get a lot of that in the previous episode, so it was nice to have like a little backstory on her, because she is like one of the main characters if you think about it. But yeah, I enjoyed it, to keep it short. What about you, Hinano?
No, I completely agree. As I can hear our son either playing or crying. I'm not sure yet, but
He's playing.
okay, cool. But I agree with you, Shane. The first thing I noticed was the colors itself. Very, very. I don't want to say uncommon, but you know what I mean, right? And what I liked about this episode was we didn't get an intro. It just cut to the actual
Mhm.
name of the show, and you see her driving through the Alps. And for me, whenever I see like a shot of like say black and white, that tells me, okay, this is going to be like an origin story. We're going to go back in time and find out some things that we didn't know
Mhm.
before. And what I loved about this, and you're right, Shane, is we didn't get told what was happening. We had to experience that. We had to put the phone down. We had to watch. Even if it was 37 minutes, that was 37 minutes. Your eyes had to be glued to the TV, because this was Harmony Cobell's story. She's been gone for quite some time. For them to actually dedicate a story for her, she is important for where it is to come with this, wherever we're going with Severance right here, let alone finding out what happened at the very beginning. And the contrast between colors, between light and dark, good and evil, light and dark, black and white, up and down. There's a lot of that going on in this show constantly. I love that too. And I love how like they say in the episode, like they're trying to take the pain away, right? Like the ether was like something to help take, they're always trying to take the pain away. And so it makes me wonder if like that's what Lumen's big goal is to remove pain from people, regardless of what that pain is. And when you remove your pain, I assume you become docile and stuff like that. But this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed this, and I'm ready to dive in this with you guys. I have some breakdown for you guys, and I have some questions. So we'll run through the breakdown unless there's anything else you guys want to discuss before we go forward.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
man.
I think it was very interesting in this episode that we find out that Lumen used child labor in the factory. They talked about how they were 8 years old when they were working in the factory, right? And that
Mhm.
comes back to what they're still doing today with the internship program with Mrs. Wong. And in our last episode, I had talked about how it feels very much like the severed people are childlike in a lot of ways in their thinking and the way that they perceive the world, because essentially they were just born when they end up on the table in that room. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was kind of interesting. They're coming back to that idea again.
And that's good, because like it really goes back to like, they're innocent. And when you're innocent, you don't go through a lot of pain as an adult. So it's kind of like they get separate. I just go back to pain. Like it's like they want to like numb it or mute it or get it out of our lives in some way or fashion, for whatever means that means for them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting, guys. So let's get to it right here. So I've got 10 breakdowns here. I'll start with the first one. And this one is Harmony Cobell's return to Salt's Neck. After being absent since episode 3, that's a long time, Harmony Cobell takes center stage, driving to Salt's Neck, a bleak coastal town revealed as her childhood home. The episode shifts focus entirely to her, offering a standalone narrative that contrasts with the main storyline's momentum. The desolate, icy setting mirrors her emotional isolation, setting the tone for her journey in this episode. So the question I have for you guys, how does this bottleneck or small enclosed episode focus on Cobell's Cobell, and does it change your perception of her character now that you know what's going on with her? And do you think it was worth pausing the entire season to find out what's going on here at Salt's Neck?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll be dead honest. Like after episode 7, where we got fed so much information, and it was a lot, and there's a lot going on, and it's a lot to theorize. An episode like this, where you get some time to breathe, right? And that's why I kind of love watching some shows. I love watching week to week, because then you get to kind of like dissect what you learned from last week. Then you integrate this a little bit. Like I had to watch this episode twice, just because like I had to like, okay, now I know what I'm looking for. Now I'm looking for stuff. And like this episode and learning about Cobell and just how powerful she was. And like I said, now you look back on Cobell and it's like, oh, I get it now. Yeah, I would want to be next to Mark too, because this is my experiment. This is my like baby. I'm gonna like, any scientists, they're gonna baby their project. I learned a little bit yesterday about the guy who I'm going on a tangent.
No, go ahead. That's what it's for.
There's a guy that they invented not invented, but like was learning about lead and the atom bomb and stuff like that. But it led him to creating the clean room. And that's like how it came about, like the clean room. Like, like these, like there's so Cobell and is looking back on it now, and just like she had to protect her thing, and that's why she demanded on the 7th floor. Because you're like, why they're giving you a promotion? What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, no, I want to be a part of the 7th floor because I'm watching it. These are my mice. I need to make sure that they're running correctly. Like I'm meticulous at this. I don't want to leave it to him. What do you mean you're gonna give it to Milchek? Like, no, it's me. Me. Like, I gotta watch it. So with this kind of episode, I think it's good, and it still sets us up for like 2 more episodes that I think can tie up some stuff and leave us wanting more for season 3.
Ooh, Shane, what's your take?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this episode, and I've watched a bunch of breakdowns online. Other people have talked about how some people said, well, this could have been one of those episodes where you cut back and forth between them in the Severed Floor and then back to this, just like they did when Bert went over to his house and we were intercutting between different storylines. I disagree with that. I think that this needed to be its own contained piece. And the reason is you need to live in this space with her. She can't escape out of it. She was here this whole time. So you have to be here with her this whole time and experience that. You need to feel how cold it is and, get that sense of dread and despair that lives within this space. And there is no break from it by pulling out to another story. And so in my feeling, you had to be in this the entire time. My feeling is that this episode was pivotal in setting us up for Cobell in season 3, potentially becoming the hero. We start off with her as the villain, and you can't understand where somebody comes from unless you're there and understand what she went through. And we got a chance to meet Sissy, who was this domineering voice in her life and shaped her into who she ended up becoming. And she's just starting now to break free from those shackles. And, that realization that she may have been killed when she went in to that meeting and running away in the car. They don't give a crap about you. And she's finally coming to that realization, and to break free from a cult like atmosphere is incredibly difficult. The people that do that, that they're very, very far and few between. So this is an incredibly pivotal episode, in my opinion, to be able to understand who she is.
I completely agree. Dee, I think you have our son with you. Do you need to pivot to me, or are you good to respond?
No, I'm good to respond. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So basically, did this episode change your mind basically on who Harmony Cobell is? That's basically
Oh,
the question. Yeah. Like, is she
yeah.
different now for you after learning who she is? Because this was an origin story of a sense.
Yeah, I think so because like Shane brought up, like she was kind of like the villain when we first got to know about her in the earlier episodes. And then, we just kind of, well, I'm gonna speak for myself, and I just kind of assume and go with it, like, because we only get to see what they choose to show us. And so we go under the assumption like, oh yeah, she's the bad guy that, we need to get rid of. Um, but after this episode and watching it and her backstory, it gives me a better understanding of why she was acting like that in previous episodes and why she is such like I guess like a hard ass at times, but like also mysterious, and like, does she have ulterior motives? Like, what is her end game kind of thing? And this episode kind of gives us an idea of why she may be doing what she's currently doing now. um and like when we saw her in the previous episode where she was driving on the road, and then she turns around and goes back to Lumen, she has an encounter with Helena, and then she like just leaves. It's like it left me as like, why did she just leave? Because I know she can be like a badass. So like, what was her purpose of just leaving? And then now that we get to see episode 8, it's like, okay, she had a purpose. She had to go and find proof and evidence to show these people, like, this was my grand idea, and this dude came and took it, kind of, so I yeah, this episode kind of gives me a better sense of who Harmony is now and what led her to yeah, where she currently is in this state of the season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And this episode reminds me of like, I don't want to bring another show in, but I'm going to use it as an example. Is like The Walking Dead, when I found out who Negan really was. If you guys know Negan, right? He's basically one of the villains of Walking Dead. But then you find out what turned him into a villain and what made him the crazy person he is in that world. Now we're in this world. We get to find out the same reasons with Harmony Cobell. I love this. I love the tender moments. I love the fact that we found out that her and what is Heliar's dad's name? James Egan. They were like, I don't want to say sweethearts, but they attended a formal together in school. He was the person that was supposedly the inventor of the Severed technology and all the protocols with it. We find out it's her. We find out about her aunt. We find out that they were staunch supporters, but the mom hated Lumen. And she wasn't even around for the mom when she passed away. So there's that pain as well. I go back to pain. This town is run down. Everybody is literally like on ether or ragged, if any sense. And it was just a really good peek into the history of her and what's really going on in her mind. And I do agree. I feel like she is now going to be a pivotal role to try to help bring down Lumen. And I think what we're seeing here is kind of like an anti-hero come out of this, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think now looking back at episode 3, when she walked away, she knew that they were gonna not let her go about.
She'll go swim with the fishes.
She was gone, and then just now you think about it, right? And remember how in the beginning she would look for the board, and she's looking for a response. Now we know she's looking for James. She wants to know, she wants to hear him say what he's saying. You know what I mean? Because she's the inventor of this stuff. She wants to know now. It definitely changes my perspective on her for sure, and just her motives and the reasons why she was acting the way she was in the first season and now in this season.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I think it's also interesting. You brought up the concept of the iceberg, and you've heard the expression, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And because there's so much more story down below, and, that symbolized through showing us actual icebergs in the lake, and in the paintings. There's a lot more going on beneath the surface. And so, I think that was, once again, that they're showing and not just telling us.
Yeah.
Another thing they told us was, if you take credit for something, then you'll get banished. I remember that in the episode. And
Yeah.
where are you going to get banished to?
Right.
Like, this is Salt's Neck, and I'm assuming they're in Kier, wherever Lumon is.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get banished to? Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
That always stuck with me. I'm like, where are they going? You know what I mean? So it's very interesting, and we're always in a cold area in this world.
I also don't know if anybody else picked up on it, but did anybody hear the pet name for Harmony from her aunt?
Oh no.
She calls her Little Mouse.
Oh wow. I never heard that.
Yep. When she runs upstairs, and then it's real subtle, and she calls her Little Mouse as her pet name for her. It's like, they're mice in a rat maze that they're watching downstairs in the Severed Floor. They are mice being studied.
It'd be crazy if we get a Truman Show slapped on us, right? So
interesting little pieces of that we I missed some of that.
There's a lot to unpack with her and her upbringing and all that. So
well, let's keep going, guys. So all right, so let's move on to breakdown number 2, the big reveal. Cobell invented Severance. This episode bombshell comes with Cobell uncovering her schematics hidden in a bust of Kier Egan, proving she designed the severance procedure, including the chips, including the overtime contingency, and the Glasgow block. James Egan stole the credit from her, reshaping her as a genius prodigy rather than just a loyal manager. Question for you guys. Does this twist about Cobell creating Severance feel earned, or does it seem like a retcon that changes too much from season 1?
Oh no, this is my bad. Go ahead, Shane.
No, go ahead.
No. My feeling is it's been there the whole time. I mean, that's why she was so involved in his life outside of the building. I mean, she's studying him inside and outside. That's why she was so involved in his life. I mean, this is her project. And once it came out, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes total sense. Like why she was so insistent should she be there. And the comments about Helena saying, you've overestimated your importance and underestimated your gifts, essentially. Yeah. And I think that also just speaks to the way corporate America treats a lot of employees. You can bring this wonderful idea to the company that ends up making them millions, and you get a donut party and a pat on the back.
Donut party.
Like watermelon fruit party.
Watermelon face.
Yeah, right.
Big bro. I'm sorry, D. Go ahead.
No. He can go. I'm just gonna go off on something else.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought it was interesting that she hid her floor plans and stuff, even though it's a bust of what's his face?
James.
Egan. Even though it's the bust part. And I don't know if they were trying to symbolize this as well, but she stuck it was like his head, which was severed. Physically severed. And it was stuck in it this way, opposed to being severed this way on your head. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting as well. Could be nothing, but I'm just like,
no. I think another the stack on that. I think you hide it in that bus because you know that your auntie's not going to touch that. She's not going to investigate it. She's going to leave that thing alone. You know what I mean? Because we are seeing people that are just. It goes to show you, like Shane said, how corporate America takes you. You have somebody like Cobell who was indoctrinated, loved this company from the ground up, was praised and had the award, right? The Winter Veil, the same thing that Mrs. Wong is going for. She's been built in this and praised, and now it was taken away from her. Oh yeah, this is definitely dude, this is spoilers. Vegan, get out of here.
Yeah, don't stop
Get outta
watching.
here.
Take out your earbuds. Take out the earpods.
Right over there.
Oh, he's kidding.
Oh, bro. Yeah. I was like, you're done, dude. Like,
You got us, man.
Nice.
oh, dude, I forgot what I was saying.
It's okay.
The thing, I just keep going back to, like, now we know why she was flipping out when she got fired.
Yeah.
Like, and that was her breaking point. And we now know why, because she's like, y'all fired me?
Yep.
Me?
I built
this.
Yeah.
I built this mother. You know, like, it's crazy. Like, yeah. So
can I jump in real so
Yeah,
did you ever see there was a show that was made a couple of years, maybe it's been 8 years or more now, but they did a film about working at Apple in the early days. It may have been, I can't remember. I can't remember if the one with Ashton Kutcher. Anyway,
there was one with Kutcher, and then there was one with the guy that played Magneto.
Yeah,
and I like that one. That one's better for me.
I can't remember which one it was, but I know there was a scene where they were like on the beach with like a bunch of the employees, and they all were wearing like the 100-hour shirt or something like that. That they were like so proud that they had worked 120 hours at the office, and how they essentially just slept there and just worked there, and this cult-like mentality of I'm just going to give my entire life to this organization and they're going to take care of me. No, they're not. Yeah. Anyway, just as I just want to tie on.
Even with Milchek, who's like very stout, and they're like he's a bro, and then they gave him the picture, and that's the thing. He looks at that and he goes, "Oh, all right," and then and he's trying to play the role, right? Like just how that just super above board and all that. And then he sees the other girl, the girl who's playing the same role, super above board. And he looked at her and he did like what we do, like, hey, is this weird? Is this weird? No, all right, I'm just checking. You felt when they gave you your picture, did you feel the Oh no, we're good. No, yeah, Lumon.
She wanted to say something.
Yeah,
she wanted to say something.
Yeah. That's why she got those crazy eyes. Like it's on her eyes. Like that's how she like signals.
Yeah, stop talking.
But that's how certain people play the game. Like they play life like that. Yeah. And he's like, and it just shows you the different levels of how involved in a cult-like mentality you are, and the different levels are. I'm not even a part of the Severance program, but I want to be above board like this, so nobody ever looks at me. I'm all Lumon out. I'm Lumon. Like this show's good, man.
But it sounds like even if you're above board, you're still not safe. No matter where you're at in this company, you know what I mean? No. It's still a dog-eat-dog world. But you'd rather be up there than down below in the testing ground, if you're saying that, right?
It tells you there's one thing. You want to be top, at the top, tippy top, because then you're a god. The Egan family are gods to these people. Yeah.
But then it goes back to light and dark, good and evil, up and down. They keep bringing this stuff up.
And another thing too, is I guess kind of typical is the man will take credit and keep the woman like as a silent, she's doing all the work, but because she's a woman, like you won't acknowledge any part that she's doing to make all this happen. I just thought that was also interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Can we go off on a real quick tangent?
No. That's what it's for. These breakdowns are mainly to keep the show moving.
I want to tie into what Dee just said. This is just I don't think this is giving anything away, but at the place I work at, we've been doing some research into doing some. I work in training, and so we've been doing some experiments with VR training, where you put on a headset and you're in the environment. And one of the scenarios was you're being tasked with putting together this model on a table, and you put the model together, and your supervisor walks in and gives you some grief about, it wasn't done whatever way. And then the supervisor comes in, and that male, you're a female in the role. The male person who came in and gave you grief turns to the supervisor and says, "Oh, do you like the model I put together?" and takes credit for it. And it's this, you get a visceral reaction when you're in the environment. Like, you want, like, you can see your hands reach out to want to choke the virtual, person. And so it's a very real thing. And it unfortunately that does happen, and it's disappointing and sad, but human beings.
Very
There
true.
you go.
Yeah.
D, anything else you want to add to this, or you guys want to add anything else before we move on to the next breakdown?
It's just, I think the crazy thing about this show is this entire world so far has been Lumen. Everything that we have seen inside and out is all Lumen. The restaurant, the houses, everything is all Lumen controlled. Like, so like, is there an out? Like, like, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, why would you be banished? Where would you go? And if you're going to be banished, where are we now?
Oh, there's still one thing that has not been explained, and they said there's the severed people who do not leave, who do not leave the floor. You know what I mean? So there are people there that we don't like. The sheep people, how long? What's their shifts like? You know what I mean? Like, some of them don't look like they get out at all.
Well, I mean, technically, Gemma doesn't get to leave.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many others? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, I got a little far fetched. Who's to say the floor is in the building? What if the floor is broader than that? Right? What if the floor is really the outside world and there's more to it, and that's why we can get banished? I don't know. It's like when they were out in their walkabout, right? And that's when Mark slept with Helena, right? Where were they? They were outside, but where, right? It's always a cold place, and it's always Kier, or I'm sorry, not Kier, but a Lumen environment. But where is the real outside world? We get to see a university, but that's about it. We get to see a clinic. We get to see Mark's old house, but we don't really get to see, like, hey, where's New York? Where's San Francisco, right? Where's our world? They never mention anything like that. So,
Interesting.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because during that episode when they did their walkabout, I actually got the sense that none of that was real. I almost felt like they were wearing like AR glasses or VR glasses, but they don't have to wear glasses because it's in their head.
It's like a Star Trek hologram.
And exactly.
Right?
They just programmed an environment for them because it was so surreal with the clone versions of them, like pointing to go this direction. And the fact that he slept outside in the cold and didn't, get frostbite. Like this idea that, when he was dunking her head, maybe she wouldn't have died in this fake environment, but this, that theory of if you die where you're sleeping, that you die in real life. I don't know, maybe they're playing on that. I don't know. There was something about that felt surreal to me, that it wasn't a real place. They weren't actually outside. Anyway.
No, I feel that. No, I feel that. I feel like that's the whole show.
It's like they're living within a dream, within a dream, within a dream kind of thing.
Inception.
Yeah. Inception. Yeah.
Or Matrix. This has like also Matrix vibes as well, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And use your example to what we just saw in Harmony's episode. How do we know that any of this is real if we really think about it?
Yeah.
Anyway, something to think about. Let's move on to the next breakdown here, guys. And there's some I'm going to skip as well. So it says right here, Cobell's childhood and child labor. So we find out a little bit about Cobell's childhood. We have flashbacks and dialogue that reveals Cobell worked for Lumen in the ether factory as a child, alongside her friend Hampton. We met him. He was the guy with the truck. At 8 years old, they worked at the factory, and she endured 10-hour shifts, exposing Lumen's dark history of exploiting kids. Her brilliance earned her a spot in the Wintertide Fellowship, tying her to the company from a young age. So the question I have for you guys, how does learning about Cobell's child labor past deepens her character? And should we see her as a victim or a product of Lumen's system?
Both.
Yeah.
It's both. She was indoctrinated as a kid, groomed as you will, like from a young age through a religious type environment, right? For example, for me, it would be like kind of like in like the Amish, right, where they have their religion and they're very stout and they believe in it, and it's from a young age on, and you're taught to do, you're only supposed to do these type of things and stuff like that. And Lumen was just behind there getting the child labor on the free, like just because, like, look, we're going to provide for your family and stuff like that, and we're trying to make all your dreams come true. You know, this is like a big company, like Marvel for us, right? Like, I love Marvel. You know what I mean? I buy the stuff, I wear the brands. You know what I mean? All this type of stuff. Do I love it enough to sell my kids to it? No. But there's some brands that people, I wouldn't put it past a couple of Disney people to put their kids through, Disney stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, you ever been to one of these places where there's the get rich quick schemes, and you go to their meetings and they like getting really hyped up,
pyramid scams, the guys in the back like, yes, you can do it.
Yeah, and like, like, you could be rich like me. You know what I mean? Like that's how this all starts. And rah rah, yeah, this guy is gonna take us to the promised land. He's gonna make it great. It's hilarious.
By the way, go and have some fruit cocktail right there.
It's just the messaging. I don't know, man. It's really, really good, and it hits on so many different notes. Just the how nature versus nurture kind of thing, right? Just like if you're in this environment, like, how do you survive? Like I don't know, man. It's deep. It's a lot. Like, my brain's breaking.
Shane, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what Biggest Bro was saying, that you are a product of your environment. And, if you're raised in, one of those, whether it's, Scientology or, any kind of group environment that restricts your access to the outside world, and that's all you adapt to that reality. So, she was doing the best she could in that. And I think that when you're in so deep, you end up, you will sacrifice even those that are closest to you for the cult. And, you can look at people that are, in certain religious facts. And if you decide to leave that group, then they shun you and you're not allowed to communicate with any of your loved ones. And that's a way of controlling you so that you don't leave. And if those people leave, you're supposed to not talk to them. So that, explains that she did that to her own mother for Lumen. And so it's very, not just cult-like, but, a lot of, kind of religious overtones as well. Like you had mentioned, Biggest Bro, the Egans are considered godlike, in their perception. So, yeah, I think that she simply did the best she could within that space. And I think she's coming to the realization that the time when she was laying on the bed and trying to reconnect with her mother, using the breathing tube, and, the fact that she wasn't there when she passed away, and that breathing tube was with her on her shrine, at her house. And so she has some deep regrets about decisions that she's made in her life. And I think them firing her, sometimes, you let good people go from a company. I think it's also making a statement about that. Sometimes they know enough about the company, they could take it down from the inside with their knowledge. And I think that might be what's happening in season 3.
Ooh, juicy. and spicy. D, your takes?
Yeah, just to also kind of continue from what Shane said, especially like when you're a child and you can be easily manipulated um, to do something, especially if maybe they promised her when she was younger, she doesn't really know any better, that if she goes along with, working or going off um, in compensation for that, they're going to take care of her family back home while she goes off and does these things. So to a child, that's something like really promising. Like, okay, if I go and help these people, I'm also helping my family. They'll, my family is going to get taken care of, so I don't need to worry about that. And then we see that that's not the case. So, yeah, very interesting. So I think a lot of the way that she grew up and had to work, as a part of the child labor force, kind of shaped her into as an adult. And then now that she's older and she's realizing things, yeah, she is coming back to the realization, like, they really manipulated me because I was a child, and now she feels really bad and has regrets because of things um, that maybe she thought was going to get taken care of. Obviously, it didn't really help with her mom. And so that's also like a process that she's got to come to terms with, is she wasn't there for her mom in her most desperate time of need. And she was surrounded by someone who was her aunt, who was just like a negative cult kind of person. So I'm sure that sissy didn't help, her sister when she was going through those tough times. Yeah. Did that
Yeah,
answer
no,
your
no, no,
question?
no, yeah, no, it does, and so like, and I feel the same way. Like before, I didn't really like Harmony Cobell until I saw this episode, and rightfully so. I didn't know a lot about her other than I knew that she was just the angry lady who did the Severed Floor, and she was doing the fairest thing. She's a staunch supporter of Kier. We find
Mhm.
out why. We find out the mom didn't like Kier. You know what I mean? And you see the emotional pain that she went through for that. You see that she's lying in the bed. She's breathing on the breather tube, so she has to
Mhm.
cope with that. You get to see also her childhood friend. There's a contrast between light and dark here. Then you meet the aunt, who is like all Kier. You know what I mean? She is like a devout follower. So
Mhm.
you get to see a lot. You get to peel a little bit of the onion to see what she really is and what made her who she is today. Now, as for her being a victim and a product, I think everybody who works for Lumen is a product. I think from day one, you sign your life away, you are a product. And it kind of like also contrasts corporate America, because in reality, when you work for corporate America, you're a product. You have to answer to a supervisor. The supervisor is going to take your credit. You got to do work for that guy. And you're not allowed to say certain things. You sign NDAs. So there's that contrast as well. But I think for me, this helped me out a lot to kind of understand her better, and I'm rooting for her. And I hope we're all kind of on the same page where she ends up becoming the anti-hero to try to help bring down Lumen in this process. So, all
Yep, I
right,
agree.
guys, let's move on. So let's
Mhm.
talk about the ether right here. So Cobell and Hampton, they pretty much take the ether, and it's that thing where like they put it on the rag and they start smelling it, right? And
Mhm.
so that kind of gives like a nod to like addiction. So in that moment, it kind of triggers memories and leads Cobell down like kind of like a severed path. And so it suggests that ether might have fueled her early creativity to create the chip itself. So the question is, what's the significance of the ether in Cobell's story, and could it tie to Lumen's larger goals beyond Severance? And was it Severance 1.0 before the chips?
Mm.
Yep.
Big bro.
I think that's where she got the idea from. Being in the factory, not remembering what happened in the factory, and her being a brilliant person. When they took her out of the town, maybe she wasn't in there too long. They took her out of the town, put her in the school for girls. She got smart, and she kept thinking about that. And I think that Kier was using that as a method of, you know, subjugating his people. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a place where, you know, you're just getting high all day and you're not really knowing, you're not really understanding the decisions or choices you're making, you know, like if Kier's probably making them sign contracts while they're on the floor, like, oh yeah, sign this right here, and saying that you're going to give everything you want in perpetuity, all of your creatives, like, you know, like it's like Shane said, that's like somebody from Microsoft, you know, discovering a nice part of the program, but guess who gets the credit? It's going to Bill Gates. If it's going to Facebook, Mark got it. If you're a Tesla right now, you're creating all this different stuff. Elon's getting the credit. Oh, Elon built this Cybertruck.
Right.
No, he didn't. He's getting the credit. He didn't build the thing.
Yeah.
He built display. You know what I mean? So that's how it is when you have loyalty to these companies and you believe in them. There's people right now that believe in SpaceX and Tesla, and for good reason. You know what I mean? They believe that they're doing the right thing, and they're gun ho about the people wearing the little Tesla hats. They love their company.
Could the same be said about Vivi?
Yes, absolutely.
But any project.
Look, in any product, there's diehard fans. You know what I mean? Like, you just, how much can I take you? How far can I push you before I break you? And if I break you, can I put you back together again? Because now you won't remember how I broke you.
You'll
Like,
be fractured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane? Oh no,
Go for it, D.
Oh, D.
Yeah, so just a little thing. Agreeing with Big Bro. Yeah, sometimes when you're like high off your rockers, that's when like the most brilliant ideas come to you. So yeah, maybe.
How do you know?
100%.
So anyway,
he's like, I remember my ether experience.
yeah. What you call? No, that's my thought. Yeah. So when you're like on a different level, like I guess psychologically, yeah, you can envision other things that may be to like in a normal state, kind of like a what if. What if I could take away pain from my mom? What if, I didn't have to deal with people dying? What if I just didn't remember any of the bad things? What if I didn't have to remember coming to this factory and working from 9 to 5, whatever the time is, for 10 hours? And I can just remember all the happy time, when I was a kid and playing with my toys, kind of thing. So I think, yeah, being surrounded and taking part of this ether, you get into that state of mind where it's like a part of your subconscious that was already there. It comes out more into like fruition, and you can have all these grand, really cool ideas. So I think that's how maybe that kind of shaped Harmony's brain to, I don't know, to come up with this with the Severance project. Just saying, not talking from experience.
No. We know.
I will. Sometimes, look, you learn some stuff about yourself when you do psychedelics. Let me tell you.
True.
There's certain things, and I remember, I am laughing harder than some people will ever laugh in life. Some people will never know this feeling of how to just laugh uncontrollably like this. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, and you just feel like you're enlightened. Like, granted, the one time it happened, I never did it again, but I learned the lessons that I need to learn.
So true, though. What about you, Shane?
My feeling is
psychedelics.
No,
No, just kidding.
I've never partook, but my feeling is that Lumon is they're a giant company that makes a lot of things, and I think that there's some parallels to be drawn between them and any large corporation, like say Apple. And in my opinion, Ether was their iPod, and the Severance procedure is their iPhone, because you had the ability to keep people's attention with the iPod, but to be able to control them and keep their staring at their phone all the time and to make money off of that, that's the next phase. And so it's all about control. And they realized that they learned their lessons from the Ether, that yes, you might be able to control them and they'll become docile, but then they become less productive. How can the next iteration of our product has to be something that we can control them and have them still do work.
Okay.
I think that pretty much answered my question right there. And I don't really have much else to say about that. I kind of agree with what you just said there, Shane. And I think the Ether was just kind of like a stepping stone to what Severance is right now, the technology itself. Now, what they're going to do with it later, that's going to be very interesting with the Cold Harbor initiative that's going to be happening on the testing ground right there.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I have so another like definition of ether in literary form is the clear sky, the upper region of air beyond the clouds.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So it's like you go to another like plane of existence kind of thing, right? Interesting.
So Nas said, I would say that the ether was a failed way of coping versus being severed. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Keep them coming, Nas. Keep them coming. And everybody else, you want to drop something, let us know. And right here, Ronnie, I think the reality they show us is another layer. So, and I agree with you, Ronnie. I think there's more than meets the eye here. I keep going back to there's a lot of unfamiliar things. So, but anyways, okay, let's move on. Let's see. Well, I'll try this one. Sissy Cobell's cultish loyalty. So Sissy, likely Cobell's aunt, is a staunch Lumon devotee, once a youth apprentice matron and a quarterly striver. She defends James Egan's theft of Cobell's work, even trying to burn the schematics, highlighting the family's divide and Lumon's brainwashing. So the question is Sissy's blind loyalty to Lumon a warning sign for Cobell's future, or does it make her rebellious more inevitable? That's a dumb question. Sorry, guys. That's the question I gave you.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. You know what? The question is Sissy's blind loyalty to Lumon a warning sign for Cobell's future, or does it make her more the rebellious type? And you know what? Forget this question. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think either way, Sissy is not there to help Harmony. She's already made the call to Drummond that she's on her way back to Lumon Industries. So put all the guards at each entrance, kind of. She's such a snitch.
Well, let's talk about her. So, what do you guys think about Sissy Cobell? Give me you guys a breakdown of her specifically as a character. Let's go with that. Big bro.
She is the perfect person that the company would want. The company will want a person like her because she's super devout, never going to question anything, just going to go roll with what she's told. The gospel's the gospel, and I'm following the gospel. I think that we kind of saw the same thing in Cobell in season 1. And I think the like I said, when she got fired, we kind of saw her being detached, where I don't think anything that can happen with Cicely would detach her. She's in for forever. Like there's people that are like that. Like you can't tell them anything. Like no matter what, like even though there's evidence staring you in the face, I'd rather burn it and pretend like it didn't happen and there's no evidence now than face the truth and maybe question what I'm doing, right? And I think that's how you can lock somebody like Cobell in and Cicely in, where if your life is chaos, right? And then you finally have a guide where it's like, this is wrong. this is good. I want to be good. People like that kind of structure. That's why if you know somebody who's like what they would call born again, they're really stout from the scripture or wherever the information's from. They're really about it. Like they're all about it. So it's it's interesting how they're showing the growth of Harmony through her aunt, in my opinion, of like where she's come from and where the kind of things that she's going to have to battle because somebody like her aunt Cecily, it's somebody who's super devout but has no power, and she's going to have to fight people who have power and are devout, and that's where it's going to get like in the thick of it because we only know one Lumen building, and we now know it's worldwide and different variations of levels. You know what I mean? Like we know about the guy who had the broom Lumen. Like, what if there's a better Lumen character in Switzerland or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, where are the real resources? Is it with Mark and them, or is it somewhere else?
I'm going to jump in. I think for us meeting Sissy Cobell for the first time and seeing that she's a devout follower of the cult of Kier, I'm just going to call them the cult of Kier. It gives us a good comparable between how Harmony used to be. I mean, we see her in season 1. She's a staunch soldier. She's like for the cult of Kier. She's calling Mark a kid. She's got her own shrine. And then to kind of see her go through all of this, she loses her job. She thinks that she's hot shit and that she's got all of this clout, and only to find out again for the second time she doesn't have any clout and she could be swimming with the fishes. And then finally now we see her hometown, which is this dank place, and we meet her aunt, who is exactly her in season 1, and probably before that we get to see the sacrifices she made, her mom dying, not being there, having to be a product of the company, but seeing that in this old lady and seeing Harmony Cobell no longer feeling that way and not even there to be a part of the cult of Kier, but to be there to get some evidence to possibly take them down. Because, it seems like, I feel like she doesn't really have a lot of cards left, right? Like she tried twice to like get back in the good graces and that never worked out. And now she's got this evidence now. And we get to see the contrast between what it's like to be a company lady and what it's like to be outside of the company and done with it. I don't know. Did that make any sense?
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm making sense.
Did you have anything to add to that?
No. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I think that the first thing that I thought about, and I'm sure that this comes back to this idea of showing and not telling. And the very first impression when we open the door is the outfit that she's wearing. And the very first thing that popped into my mind was fundamentalist Mormon, and that kind of attire. And in order to accept, if you're in the fundamentalist group, they accept polygamy, and to get yourself to a point where you accept that as this is my reality, you've just like Biggest Bro said, you've got to be all in, and everything else doesn't matter. And you see the Egan family downstairs with their statues. That also reminds me of the leaders within those kind of churches, especially fundamentalist, because they're the people that get the word directly from God or whatever. And so yeah, there's a lot of religious overtones that are happening now, tying that into your dedication to an employer.
Interesting. D?
Yeah. Going back on Sissy, yeah, I mean she's completely brainwashed. But I can like see like why she acts that way towards Harmony when she opens the door, because not only did she have to essentially do what Harmony should have been the one doing, because that's her sister's daughter. Like, she should have been the one at home taking care of the mom and not just kind of leaving her to take care of her, and she got sick. And and on top of that, Sissy's sister was totally against the whole idea. So to live with someone for that long and being like total opposites, I mean, that can get to somebody. And speaking from family personal experience, when, like, family members don't get along, but you have to just suck it up and deal with it. I think in a sense, Sissy has that anger and maybe like hatred towards Harmony because of all the things that she had to take care of and not, and Harmony kind of had like the escape route out of it. But then coming back as a someone who's completely like turned around now from believing in Lumon and their beliefs, I think like that's where like Sissy's anger is also, that's where it's coming at. Does that make sense?
Yep.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I think we're all self-dotting ourselves on our break. This is a breakdown, guys. We're here to have a good time. So,
Yeah.
I got
If
a
it
question here
doesn't
from
make
Nas.
Yeah.
It says, just curious, did anyone question why is Sissy still in that town?
I don't think she has anywhere else to go.
No.
She's a spy.
Yeah, she's devout. She may be a spy just in case somebody comes there and they have eyes and ears everywhere. And I'm pretty sure if they said, "Hey, we want you to stay in this house and just tell us if anything weird happens," okay,
Yeah. That's her station, basically, as a foot soldier.
Well, the impression that I got was essentially, I think that she was Harmony at that factory. And that's why the entire town ostracizes her and hates her. And she has just been relegated to this house on the outside of town and nobody wants to deal with her anymore. So it's interesting. You brought up some interesting points, Dee, that I bet you there's some conflict in her, even though she's completely devout. She has some resentment towards Harmony that she left and went off to work at corporate essentially. And she was left to deal with this mother or her sister who didn't believe in the cult. And so there's some conflict there. There's a lot of complex range of emotions. There's a bit of jealousy that she went on to the corporate level. There's anger at her for leaving her with her sister and never coming back to help. There's disappointment in her that she knows that she even says, "What did you do at Lumon?" Because she's well aware that something happened and she's not part of the cult and she's not part of the company anymore. So there's a wide range of emotions and feelings going on within Sissy. And it's very easy to look at her and just mark her as this one encompassing bad person who just has one thought of following the Egan family. But I think there's a lot more going on with her as well. There's, as with most humans, there's a range of emotions that bring you to create, the person.
We're all onions, right? We're all onions.
Yep.
So since we're talking about the old town, let's get a little bit more into that. Let's talk about Salt's Neck, a Lumon ghost town. Salt's Neck is depicted as a crumbling former company town, abandoned after Lumon's ether factory shut down. The stark beauty of the snowy cliffs and dilapidated buildings underscores the human cost of Lumon's exploitation, hinting at its broader societal impact. So the question is, what does Salt's Neck decay tell us about Lumon's legacy and the conglomeration itself? And how might this be setting Cobell's motivation to take them down? So essentially, the town's just pretty much been destroyed by Lumon. You can pretty much see, like, it's when development, right? When a development comes through a town and, they make it big and all of a sudden, it's no longer a big thing and everyone kind of withers away and it becomes like an old town out in the middle of nowhere, right? That's kind of what happened here.
Yeah, it's kind of like Detroit you know, with the auto factory leaving, and now you can, you know, buy an entire block of houses for $50 in Detroit.
Pass.
So yeah. So yeah, go ahead, bro. Let me think about what I was going to say. Trying to gather my thoughts together.
Deep question.
Yeah, I think that I think we just really touched on it. Is just the impact of that company like Lumen coming in and really just stripping the town, creating the town, right? Like that's what they do. They create these towns like off of the town. So they build them up. People come move in there. They all everybody's starting to work, and then once you know it starts to die down, I think Lumen took the best of the people and took the resources with them, and now you're just left with this drug haven, people just trying to get by. You know what I mean? Like there was like two people in the whole restaurant like that she went to, and you know, like there's people in trailers just sniffing, just huffing things, and when she brushed her teeth, she threw the bottle like, you know, this place is trash. Like she, you know, she kind of like resents growing up there and stuff like that, and you know, and she still, you know, there's still people there, you know, like Nas said, like, do we question why she's still in that town? Yeah, because there's still people there to spy on. Like there could be loose ends, like they have with Harmony. I mean, definitely if you know somebody that has your blueprints or is the creator, you're gonna keep tabs on everything about them. You're gonna make sure, you know, like her location is on. Like we're following you. We need to know where you're at all times. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just. Do I think it fuels her? Not per se the town itself. I think her experience is there, dude. I think that seeing her old flame and you know doing ether again and going back to it, I think the feelings do. I think those are the things that are motivating her, not the town itself per se. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
I think this episode showed us. I think this episode helped us prepare for Harmony Cobell's motivation to take them down. We saw what happened to her town. We saw what happened to her childhood. We saw what happened to her mom, and it's riddled with pain, you know, and loss, and you know, loss of time, you know, loss of what Dee said. You know what I mean? Like women were treated badly. You know, loss of equality, everything, and so like. And this is what happens when, because I attribute Lumen to BlackRock, not Tesla, guys, BlackRock. And so we see Lumen, they just leave a trail of devastation in their path. They don't give a crap. They're a mega corporation. They're here to do one thing, you know, produce and sell things. Like everyone's a product. That's what it looks like to me. In whatever nefarious way possible. And seeing the Lumen town, the Ether Factory, is a good example of what happens when you do business with Lumen. And that's the aftermath right there. I think that town, her childhood, and this entire episode showed us why she's going to be fueled to take them down.
I had a sick thought right now. What if they did all this just to make her a martyr? Just to take her out like the end of the season finale and just gut punch just like that. Like we just got all this exposition and stuff like that, but then it makes it more impactful of like her sacrifice. So I don't know.
It could go the other way around too, though. She could literally just flip on us and go back to the same ways. You know what I mean? We really don't know how far the cult of cure is, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's endless things that could happen. I mean, she could get to the point where she's ready to flip the switch and take the whole thing down, and Helena comes in and says, "You got us. tell you what, you can have the severed floor. It's all yours. We'll give you credit for what you produced, and we'll give you a pineapple party and whatever other nonsense that we can throw at you. And she goes, okay, I'll take it. And because some people, want that credit and acknowledgement of what they created so badly that nothing else matters. So we could get to the point where we think she's going to be the hero, and then right back down again. So anything could happen storytelling wise. I think that the great thing about this series is it keeps you on your toes, just to not know what's going to happen next. But as far as Lumon, they're like any other corporation. They're like Locust. They come in, strip the entire environment of any resources, and then they leave, and it's left barren and desolate. And strip it from whether it's coal or minerals or whatever it is, as well as the human element, and then they just leave a wave of destruction in their path.
100%. D?
So this is kind of like not really what you guys were talking about, but I thought about it when you guys were talking. So because of the show Severance, whenever I see like numbers or names, I kind of like look it up a little bit more to see if there's any like significant, like an alternative meaning to it. And Salt's Neck, like you use salt to like preserve certain things, and it's also used in like rituals to cleanse to cleanse like a whatever object or a person. So I felt like that town, Salt's Neck, like above your neck, it's like by your head. I don't know, like preserving and purifying one's head, like we've been talking about, of like all of the bad stuff, like
if you're gonna sever something, you want to purify.
Yeah, because you're gonna purify it, but you're also preserving it to where, like in the different gemmas that we saw, like they're preserving her different what do you call it, personalities. I don't know, just something I was like, oh, salt. Yeah. Anywho, just so much stuff going even more down that rabbit hole. Different things that could mean something, or maybe I'm just looking into it too much. This show's really got me thinking about like all these little maybe minute things.
Yeah. And what's cool about this specific episode, it was very contained, so we don't have to really go out into tangent. We're literally discussing, well, we're getting into tangents, but it's within a closed discussion, right? Mainly this episode, this town, Cobell. So this is my last breakdown right here, and then we'll go to speculation. We're at an hour and a half too, guys. Not bad. I didn't even realize it. So but here we go. Shift into Cobell's identity, or the shift in Cobell's identity. So in this episode, it redefines Cobell from a quirky, fanatical manager to a betrayed visionary. Her crisis of faith after Lumon's rejection, paired with her reclaimed designs, positions her as a potential game changer in the fight against the company she helped build. So the question for you guys is, does Cobell's new role as Severance creator make her a hero, a villain, or something in between? And we have to find out more before the finale.
I think it's in between, man. I think we're getting motivations, and motivations give us different perspectives on people. Does it make her a hero yet? No. Does it make her a villain yet? Not quite. So it's because if you look at it like now, I look at her differently in season 1, where I was like, that's really creepy that she's like wanting to be his manager at work, and then be like around him, and have like best friends with the sister and stuff like that. But now you can look at it as like she's caring for these people. And there was a moment where she was sitting there, and when Mark said, "I think I'm going to quit," and she kind of like had like a tear in her eye, like, you know what I mean? Like she was kind of like happy about it. Like what was the motivation behind that? You know, I I really want to know about the aliens now. He put aliens. So like I need to know how is this aliens. I'm so down. And then another thing.
Keep
No,
going.
Another thing he pointed out, like Dylan, right? And when he went to go get the job, and the dude looked like him again, right? Like the dude, like when he was like at the bed factory, the door factory, or whatever. Like that made like it's still Lumon. Like I'm like, oh dude, this is all staged. Like they're messing with him. I think somehow. I don't know, man. Because
all I'm saying is we've never seen anything in real life in this show yet, at least depicted or on like a napkin. We've never seen a matchbook that said something, right? Like Vegas, nothing.
Yeah.
Or at least I haven't. You see cars and you see cell phones, right?
But all these cars are old. Like they're all like 90s cars. Like,
right?
Yeah, it's trippy.
Yeah, the cars are old, but the phones are new.
Well,
Anyways, D?
I don't really have anything to say right now. Hold on.
Got you. All right. She's a little bit busy with the Little Prince. So basically that was all the breakdowns I had, you guys. So kind of like reeling it back, unless you guys have your own breakdowns or anything else you want to discuss, I kind of wanted your guys' final take on episode 8 before we get into speculation. Big Bro.
I think we did a good job like overviewing a lot. I think like I said, there's just so much different commentary about social about just about a female's plight, especially when they created something and it being taken away or not getting credit for it, and now she's fighting for her seat at the table. Like where she feels like she deserved a seat at the table, but they used the love for her project and the love for her experiment against her, where she thought she had an advantage in that she was the only one that can work it. They took advantage of her, saying like in a face that like, we took credit for your stuff and you're okay with it because you get to be in the experiment itself. You know what I mean? So I just think this episode was really good for me. Yeah. I think we got a lot of the different symbolism and stuff with this episode, and her being in Lumon and stuff like that. And now it brings back the questions that we have from episode 7 and loading it up in there, and like, okay, now we're learning history about Lumon and Kier, and what is this family about now? Now we need to know more about the Egans. We need to know more about like what's really going down. And I'm kind of hopeful because they had a picture of the yearbook and showing Harmony there, and we might get a flashback episode to then. You know what I mean? Maybe the story of how she created it and what is her role, because another big question that hasn't been answered is who's her dad. Like her father is not mentioned whatsoever. It's very focused on the mom and stuff like that. So there's another big picture of like, who's the dad, where's that at? And yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up like the parents. Like we find out that Harmony was with what's that guy's name? What's Heliar's dad's name again? James, right?
James. Yeah.
Who's to say that Harmony might not be her mom? We don't know, right? And looks like her and James were really close back then. I mean, she helped invent Severance. He took the credit from her. He's close with her. They're almost the same age. They went to their thing together.
Yeah.
Don't make sense. So
no, Yeah, that definitely that can be
He's
daddy.
everyone's daddy.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But specifically, we're talking about Heliar here. I'm pointing this out. It just kind of makes sense. And wouldn't that be a plot twist right there? Hey, I'm really your mom, right?
Yeah.
And maybe
Dude.
her mom wasn't that person, right? I don't know. It's weird.
There's all. I think Ronnie Lido has a good point where all this could be red herrings and it could be all something completely different and weird and like. But that's the beauty of like watching this in real time. Like I love like there's certain shows that you watch and it starts off here, but where you end up is like, where do we come from? Like
I
even
want
this
answer.
yeah. I want the alien answer. I need that. But it's like the first episode of Severance compared to now, where we were just like, all right, what's happening? What's going on? And now we're at a whole different level of like, yo, what still is happening? But we have some answers, but we still don't like really know. Like it's I love shows like this, man. I love it. This
And to kind of
discussion.
like jump on that as well, like, and I always say like this reminds me of Lost, not necessarily the same storyline, but like the sense of like mystery. You never know what's going to happen next. And the one thing that Lost did well but didn't execute at the end well was providing so much mystery but not answers. This gives you a lot of mystery in Severance, and they give you answers. You just really got to look for them. Like this episode was riddled with a bunch of answers and a ton of questions at the same time. But that's one thing I love about this show is it keeps you guessing. And I feel like at least the creators of this show, they thought of a beginning, middle, and end versus like other shows like Lost. They started coming up with a middle and end. You know what I mean? I don't know. What's your thoughts on this, Shane?
Well, one of my favorite television series of all time is Twilight Zone. I think Rod Serling was an absolute genius, and him being able to use sci-fi as a commentary about society and talk about subjects that were very tabooed, especially during that time of the original Twilight Zone. I think that this show taps into a lot of those kind of Twilight Zone ideas and making commentary about our society. That's what makes it so rich and so deep. And I agree with you that they provide just enough answers and keep enough mystery. My real hope is that they have an outline for the show that has an ending in mind and that we don't drag it out.
Yes.
If it ends up being 3 seasons, I'm totally cool with that. If it ends up being 4, I'm totally cool with that. I just don't want it to. I don't want Apple to come to them and say, this thing's a cash cow. Write another season, just drag it out. And then you get a lot of filler episodes and then it diminishes the artwork. As soon as, and it'd be funny, almost a commentary on that, because then it's like art imitating life. Like then this giant corporation is coming in and taking this thing that they've created and just, making it worse by meddling with it. So hopefully they have enough control over their artwork that they're able to see it finish in the way that they want to see it finished. But I took a couple of notes during the episode. I thought it was interesting that in the aunt's room, when she's kind of rifling through to find things, there's a sign on the wall that talks about work-life balance, which is something that we talked about, the last episode. There's definitely some commentary about that. Also, one of the other shows I was watching as a recap, I don't know how they got the dates for this, but apparently Lumon was started the same year as the end of the Civil War.
Whoa. So
that's kind of interesting. And I also thought it was really interesting, the 9 core values that they keep talking about within, the cult of Egan, and they were used on these cards that almost look like tarot cards when she was rifling through stuff. And, this, once again, this, kind of cult-like and, bringing religious aspects into, those things tying into it, and how I think, as you get deep into things and you don't see the outside world, everything that your thoughts relate to this cult that you're in. And it would make sense that even though they want to expand out and think about other things, it all comes back to their core values, because that's all they know, and that's all their world revolves around.
Yeah.
Damn, that's deep.
Yeah. Good pickups on those. I was watching another breakdown too, and it goes, it showed the tarot cards looking things with the 9 values. And then it also talks about, was it a yearbook? Whatever book it was that had Harmony's like achievements.
Yeah.
And there was one, you can't really see it, but apparently whoever made the breakdown video said that she was part of the goat husbandry's club. And so I thought that was interesting too. I'm like, because there's that room or level floor full of goats.
Yeah.
That they're like working on, experimenting with. So I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of want to point that out too. It's like everything is connected from when she was younger till now.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting.
Are goats the animal, like if you scare it, like it just like it goes straight like that? Is that it? Or like
I don't know.
I thought there's like a farm animal, like if you scare it, like it stiffs up and like it falls over, like
Isn't that the animal that you use for sacrifices as well? The goat?
Yeah, like in cults and stuff. I think that they use the goat's blood, and there's also like the horns. A lot of like sacrificial or like witchcraft kind of things. So,
did you ever see the movie The Witch or Witch?
Which
Which movie?
Which I don't think so.
It's the one with who's the Anna Taylor-Joy.
Anna Taylor-Joy. I haven't seen that one. No,
it's one of her first roles. She's very young in it, probably like 15 or 16. But there's a demonic goat that's part of that as well.
There you go. Yes, goats do that.
So if goats do that, that's like a form of severance, right? Like you just like
they're just like, yeah. You're kind of like stuck in a sense.
Yeah, dude. There's this. Oh man, I can't wait for this Friday to see where we're going. I just want to know where we're going.
You know what's so funny is for us, we get to watch it on Thursdays for some reason, like in the afternoon. I get the alert. Or in the afternoon, Dee and I are like, whoa, we get to watch it before Friday? Let's go. And so we're always ahead of it. And I don't understand how that works with Apple. But guys, let's get into speculation. There's 2 episodes left. There's episode 9 called The After Hour, and there's episode 10 called Cold Harbor. Specifically, episode 9, which is After Hours. Let's break into that. So I actually went and took a bunch of data and compiled it with AI. And the AI spit up all the information that it thinks will happen in episode 9 because of what happened in episode 8. Okay. And this time I used ChatGPT. Last time I used Grok. So let's see if this is any different from Grok. So you guys ready?
Yeah, right. Let's do it.
All right. So the AI states, Cobell teams up with Mark and Devin to expose Lumon in episode 9. And here's why. Here's the speculation. Episode 8 ends with Cobell finally answering Devin's call and demanding to speak to the reintegrated Mark, hinting at a potential alliance in episode 9. We might see Cobell join forces with Mark and Devin to take down Lumon from the inside. Using her inside knowledge and the Severance schematic she retrieved in the previous episode, this could involve a risky plan to leak her designs to the public or sabotage Lumon's operations, marking her full transformation from loyalist to now rebel. So the question I have for you guys, could Cobell's grudge against the Egans make her an unreliable ally for Mark, or will her genius be the key to dismantling Lumon in the next 2 episodes?
I think a little bit of both. But I don't think the second part of bringing Lumon down in from the inside, I don't think we're gonna see that happen this season.
I don't think that I don't think they can do it right now. I think they still have a lot more setup to do. There's still a lot more questions that we have about the other characters that are in play. I think if that is a setup, I think that is a setup for like season 3, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to go back to what Shane was saying about hopefully they have it all mapped out. I think they do. I think this is going to be
Me
one
too.
of those shows that we're gonna. I think what they set it up for is each season, like I did it with Game of Thrones. Each season, I would rewatch the entire thing before the new season came out, and I think that they're setting it up that each time you can look back, it's like, oh, that's what they did there. That's what they did there. A big example for me, and I know none of you watched it, is Attack on Titan. It's a manga series. It's anime, but that story, like for it being a cartoon, was some of the best storytelling I have ever witnessed because it tied in all the way from the beginning. Like every single thing mattered. Every little like hint, every little thing mattered, and it seems like this show is doing that because simply, I was looking at that breathing tube the first season. I was like, "This is important. This is important," and now we're finally getting that payoff, right? Like we're seeing like, ooh, even that is having it. So now we're gonna be like, what is the GOAT payoff? I can't wait till we're all gonna know what the GOAT payoff is, and we're gonna be like, wow, we got that season 1, and we didn't know what was going on, but now we know, and now we know why the GOAT people are in there acting weird and like all this type of stuff. Yeah, I don't think so. Go back to the main thing. I don't think that episode 9 is gonna be about that, but I could be wrong. I think that I think you can still dive into a little bit more of the characters. I think there's a lot of compelling stories going on with Dylan, going on with Eugene. What's the guy's name? One of the 4 guys. Irving. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Eugene.
I forgot the episode's name. So
Yeah. So like, but there's so much there's so much story for them to still tell. So I think we're and the Bert we got weird Bert sightings, and like he's following Irving, and he's not telling us about the 20 years before. You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of different gaps, and who knows what information and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we still got a lot more to go in there.
and I want to harken on that a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in. I'll like you talk about like Attack on Titan, right? Being a really good fleshed out show from A to B, and it had all its tender moments to lead you to A to B. There are other shows for me that do that as well. I don't know if you guys ever seen the show, and I'm going on a tangent here, but there's a show on Netflix called Dark, and it's about time travel and parallel universes, and every single episode gives you a question and leads you down a deeper rabbit hole. And the one thing I hated about season 1 is there were a million questions. And then you go to season 2, there's a million more. And then when you reach season 3, they all culminate into one. But the thing about Dark was, and it's like what you said, Shane, I don't want to be told what happens. I want to experience it. That's how Dark is. Like you cannot take your eyes off of it. Every character has a story. Every character is not throwaway. That's the one show I've ever seen that not one character was a throwaway. Even a minute person in a shop literally was a pivotal moment to lead you to the end. And also that show had a really good A to B. And so I really feel like Severance has a fleshed out story just because of, like you said, in season 1, it really feels like they had it honed down. There's so much going on in this. It doesn't really feel like Lost in a sense where I'm going to be disappointed in the end. I feel like we're going to go somewhere. Another show that did this, and believe it or not, was a time travel show called 12 Monkeys, not the movie, the TV show. And so if you know, what is that guy's name? He's the guy that did Star Trek season 3 of Picard.
Oh, James Gunn.
No, it's not James Gunn. No, it's. But anyways, the producer that produced 12 Monkeys he is so good at writing. And when he writes an episode, it's literally like he's painting a canvas, and every character has something to do. They matter, and it's the same thing. Like you see a throwaway character in season 2, and they come back in season 4 as like the hero of the entire story. And so I feel like we're going to get the same thing with Severance here. Now, when it comes to Cobell being very unreliable, I still think she's going to be unreliable. I don't think she's going to really, put up a front like I'm on your side now. I think she's still going to play the mysterious person because she's always been that person, and she's very guarded and jaded to begin with. So I don't think she will be reliable even till now, but I am rooting for her as a hero in the end.
Yeah, Terry Metalis.
Terry Metalis, that's it.
That's who it was. I was like, I know
I'll
this.
put my money on everything that guy makes. Shay?
My theory is that there's a lot more story to tell with Harmony. I think this is just my theory, that I think that we're going to see her become the hero, but then potentially become the villain, and then be complex in the end. And what I mean by that is, here's what I think could happen storytelling wise. She already said in the car that he's been reintegrated, and she said, is he not dead yet? So this process is not something that's easily done. I think she'll be able to hold him together mentally for them to agree to tear down Lumon. And in the end, one of the marks has to die in order for him to become whole again. And the way that she'll get back at Lumon is to steal away any Mark's relationship with Helly, so she can't have that relationship. That's how she'll hurt Lumon and give him his relationship back with Gemma and help her to escape. So she will be the hero, but also a complex villain, because
I like it.
For the audience,
People love Helly, man. People love Helly.
And
No, but people are going to love Cobell now. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, a lot of people did not like this episode because they didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
But I really think Cobell will come out a winner. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, she'll get her revenge, but it's at a great cost.
Yeah.
And shout out to Patricia Arquette. She's such a dang good actress.
Yes, she is. Well, all of them.
Yes, very true. Yes.
I will admit I did not like her for a long time because my wife loves the show Medium, and I hated her. I hated her, the way her voice was. I hate her haircut. I hate that show. But this, like, it made me a fan of her now. So now, like, when she watches, like, all right, yeah, she's Cobell. She's Cobell to me, man.
All right. Okay, so let's go into the next speculation here. Lumon hunts Cobell down, leading to a tense showdown. Speculation: Cobell's theft of the Severance designs and her exit from Salt's Neck with Lumon's goons on her tail suggests she is now a target. Episode 9 might feature Lumon dispatching Milchek or a new enforcer to track her down, leading to a high-stakes chase or confrontation. I mean, for all we know, they could actually dispatch Gemma as like some kind of like assassin, right? This could intersect with Mark's story if Cobell seeks him out for protection, forcing him to choose between hiding her or turning her in. So the question is, can Cobell outsmart Lumon's hunter if there is one, or will her past loyalty leave her vulnerable to their tactics?
I think she's smoking anyone's boots.
Yeah,
she's cunning. She's cunning. She's super duper smart, and she's on a level that we did not respect at first. And I think we're only going to learn more and more of how she's playing this game. I think they're going to be in it for a rude awakening when you have somebody who is now motivated against you. Like somebody like that, they're going to be a problem.
Yeah, don't ever scorn a woman, right? Yeah, I
no
think,
comment.
No,
especially when she has proof that she's right.
Mm-hmm.
You're smoked.
Yes, I think she's gonna find a way to take down Lumon, because she is very crafty, and she's had, many years to be like to not come up with a plan, but to go through all these experiences that led her to where she is now. And so, in a sense, like she knows better, but she's still gonna play the card like, yes, keep underestimating me, and then I'm gonna hit you like right where it hurts. Um, yeah. So I think they may, because they've studied her so long at the Lumen office. I think they think that they know what she may be doing next, but I think that Harmony she's got like a backup plan to thwart them because she's just really smart. Yeah, that's my take on it.
I like how the AI is speculating that they're going to introduce a new character.
Ooh.
Not that they are, but like I like the idea of inputting someone else that maybe coming after her, right? And if they are, as a speculation, who would that be? Like which familiar face? Because it sounds like they can reprogram anybody that's been severed to be anything we want them to be, and like who's to say they don't have like databases of ninjas somewhere, right? You know what I mean? And all of a sudden you got like a bunch of ninjas come out of Lumen. But I like that. I like that they're the AI is speculating that. Now in terms of what happened, I don't know if that's going to happen. And I don't know if that's going to leave her vulnerable to her taxes or anything like that. I agree with Big Bro. I think she's cunning. I think she's conniving. And I think no matter what happens to her, she'll always have a plan B.
Contingency plans.
Haha. Wait, real quick. So before we get to you, Shane, Nas, I think we might see others of the four Tempers. That's who I think was in the car that we saw at the end.
Ooh.
Interesting. All right, Shane, you're up.
Well, I think my thought is that it could tie back into my other theory about how she ends up taking down the company. And, it's obvious that Helena is set up to be the next Egan in charge and have her statue downstairs. And I think that she'll destroy that. And, she could end up essentially starting her own company at the end of the series, that she takes the Severance product and creates her own separate company. Yeah, and tears down Lumen even further to basically just wipe them out. I think that opens the door to a lot of other complex discussions about here we would be rooting for them to destroy Lumen, but she'd be creating something that ends up being very similar to Lumen in that it's just another company and more employees that she would then their company would take advantage of, and it's just this endless cycle of being used. So I don't know. It depends on what statement the filmmakers want to leave us with, and what we're supposed to walk away with feeling at the end of the series. It all comes back to if they've got everything buttoned up and got an outline for how it's all supposed to work.
All right. Let's move on to the next speculation here. Mark's reintegration sparks a rebellion inside Lumen. So speculation, with Mark now reintegrated, his innie and outie selves have merged. He's a walking testament to the flaws in Cobell's severance tech. Episode 9 could see him confronting his MDR team, Helly, Dylan, and Irving, with the truth about Gemma and Lumen's experiments down below, sparking an innie uprising. This might tie into Cobell's arrival, as she could provide the evidence needed to rally the severed employees against Milchick and the higher-ups. So the question, will Mark's reintegration inspire his team to fight back in the next 2 episodes, or will the fear of Lumen's retaliation keep them in line from actually winning? That's the question the AI is posing.
Can you restate it?
Yeah, sure. So it's the entire speculation, or just the question?
Good question.
The question is, will Mark's reintegration inspire his team to fight back, or will fear of Lumen's retaliation keep them in line?
I think there's going to be separate people doing it for separate reasons. I think Irving will fight back. I think he wants to have his answers. I think Dylan is going to be apprehensive because he has something to lose now. He has a wife, that he doesn't have out there, and the wife is with it. The wife wants this relationship. She likes inside Dylan a lot more than outside Dylan.
DTF, man.
Yeah, I think that I think that Helly has motivation to take it down, but now knowing that her outside life is also connected to it, will she want it that much? Even like when she knows she has something to lose on the outside, her other self, the outie self has so much to lose. Like, will she be willing to take it all down? I think Mark has a lot to deal with when he does go back down there. Does he have to fake it? How does he fake it? How does he act? And another thing about it is how is the actor himself going to act this out, that he both has any and outie knowledge, but pretending to be the any. It's just like the acting in this show is on a different level, man. It's crazy.
It's kind of like Helly, right? And Helly,
Yes.
in reality, like, and that is such and you're right, Shane. A lot of the actors on this show are so well good and done with their craft. Yeah. I mean, watching Helena play Helly and switch back and forth, and then only to find out that she's not Helly, and then you get the real Helly, and then you see the characteristics just change overnight. It's just phenomenal. Yeah. And so, like, I really like where you're going with this with Mark, because he's gonna now have to play two sides of the coin. He kind of does it already, right? But like, to do it on the fly while you're moving, right? Like, if you're in a dark corner, you're like your Mark S, or your Mark up above, and it's going to be a very interesting dynamic to see this actor play these two characters simultaneously at the same time, trying to fake it. So, Shane.
Yeah, I keep coming back. I'm sorry. I keep coming back to this idea that where I think things are heading. I keep thinking, in the end, only one of the people gets to survive. I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. And, from a satisfaction standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, if we have the inside, Dylan is the one who survives, and, his wife gets what she wants. And if somehow Harmony is able to make it where inside Helly is the one who survives, and Helly hates Lumon, and she then helps her to take down Lumon on the outside, and outside Helena gets destroyed. And then that unbelievably difficult choice that Mark, the out Mark is the one who actually survives. And gets to, be with Gemma. Everybody gets their satisfied, happy ending, essentially. I don't know. I keep coming back to that. But I could be wrong. This idea of integration, I don't know. Something just tells me that it's not possible, just from the words that Cobell used, and the
That's
fact
what
that
she kept saying.
Yeah. And the fact that, his friend who on the outside didn't make it because he tried reintegration. It's just not possible. Only one can survive. You can't have two consciences living at the same time in your head. So yeah, I don't know. I keep coming back to that. But I don't, it becomes a question of how satisfying is that for the audience? Do we all just want the happy ending? Would that be satisfying, or something more complex that makes us think about it, months and months after the show wraps, would be more satisfying? So, that's what's great about this, is it keeps you guessing. But I agree with you, your standpoint about seeing Mark inhabit essentially both. And I don't know how that works. I almost feel like the way it's going to work is that he's going to be glitching
Yeah,
back and forth.
For
And
sure.
there won't be as smooth as it was for Helly, where she and if you remember, it wasn't like she went back and forth. She still was just one person at a time.
yeah,
And so for Mark, it'll be, kind of a glitch. And
On
that,
the fly.
yeah, and that scene where he transitions from the elevator, I think that is going to happen like throughout.
And we'll hear the
downstairs.
sound, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then he's like, oh shit, now where am I? And have to get reorientated. And then, yeah, I can see that happening. This idea of reintegration, I don't think it's what we all think it is. It's not merging of the two. I think it's one has to take over.
yeah.
Got you on that one. We have a question here from Nas. I think a good question is, will the fear of the innies ending or dying affect a reason to take down or not take down Lumon?
Absolutely. They don't want to die.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what the
Especially Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan definitely doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of them do. Like Irving had a really hard time with it when Bird died. Like that was the whole thing, and that's why Ms. Wong was like, "Well, if you let them have a funeral, they're gonna feel like they're real."
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, this is such a good show, guys.
We got Ben here. Ben says, "Just give us a tidy season ending. It's exhausting."
Yeah.
How you doing, Ben? Good to see you.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be more exhausting. Get your running shoes on, bro, because I think this ending is gonna be like, ooh, it feels good.
Pop some popcorn, Ben.
Yeah.
Real quick, have you guys ever seen Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
Yes.
I love that movie. So I just remember that's who the bodyguard guy is the guy that flying the helicopter. The drunk guy that flying the helicopter, he's the bodyguard for Helly. He's the guy that's over.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I just remember that. And also seeing the colors that they were using, it kind of felt like the same thing in Walter Mitty when they were going to Iceland and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I see the kind of same like direction, especially because it's Ben Stiller,
Right.
I don't know why. That's one of my favorite Ben Stiller movies.
Nice. That's cool.
Tropic Thunder.
Every piece of art, touches you in different ways, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We got two more speculations, and then we're gonna call it a night. All right. So Gemma's fate ties back to Cobell's original designs. So the speculation, guys. Episode 7 revealed Gemma's entrapment on the testing floor, and Episode 8 established Cobell as the Severance mastermind. In Episode 9, we might learn that Gemma's current state, potentially a refined or corrupted version of her personality, is a direct result of Cobell's early experiments. Mark could uncover this link, driving a wedge between him and Cobell, even as they work together, adding emotional stakes to their alliance. So the question is, could Gemma's condition be the dark consequences of Cobell's genius? And how will Mark react if he finds out?
All right, AI was cooking on that one. They got that one, I think. In my opinion, like, yeah, I think that is going to be the ugly truth about it, is that Cobell was the mastermind behind all this, and yeah, she's pushing these mice to the limit, and I think a big thing is we're going to start rooting for Cobell, but in the end, if Cold Harbor is what I think it is, what that room is, the things that she's willing to put people through in order to get the right results is going to be hard for Mark to swallow, especially if, in my opinion, I think Cold Harbor is the room where Gemma drowns over and over and over and over again, and Mark's going to know that, that's his wife that's been put through this. And, I think in the end, I think we're going to come up with I think you're right. One Mark is going to have to go down, and either it's going to be the one that's in love with Helly, and they go away together and they try to fight the system, or somehow Gemma gets lost and maybe Mark has to let her go in order to save her. You know, it's better to shut her down than let her like free her because, you know, she's broken. Maybe, who knows? You know, there's so much that can happen still. Yeah.
You know, I'm with you on that one, Big Bro. And so it kind of goes with what you were saying, Shane. You were giving the speculation that you know, one of the two marks has to let go, and so your hypothesis was that the Audi mark survives with Gemma, uh, and there's an interaction to where Cobell comes out the hero at the end. But I think it's the opposite. I think any mark actually survives, and both Audi mark and also Gemma don't.
That is a very, very real possibility, and I think that there's some satisfaction in that storytelling as well, because, you know, essentially, you know, you could make the argument that when Gemma died, a part of him died, and so he's not whole, and it would make more sense for him to let that portion of him die off, especially if we find out that Gemma is also not whole. If she is not the same Gemma that he knew, she, you know, is not, yeah, just not the same. And if they're both not whole, it doesn't make sense for them to. And if, you know, Harmony, you know, is telling them only one of you can survive, and both Gemma and Mark accept that when she died, they both died, and let this other any Mark and his new relationship with Hella succeed, Heliar, and then they both go outside and take down Lumon, you know, essentially together. Yeah, that could be very powerful as well. It's another great way to finalize the story, because we would have an emotional gut punch as an audience, because all this time we've been, you know, rooting for him to find Gemma, and we're going on this journey for them to, we found her now and she is alive, and we want them to get back together and find love again. But if we realize that, you know, part of that loss is that you're never whole again, yeah, that would be, you know, devastating as an audience, but also uplifting that another portion of them gets to survive and find love.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. D?
Yeah, I think because a lot of people that are watching would like for Outer, Mark, and Gemma to get together, they are completely not going to give us that, because why do that and satisfy us and end it? Yeah. What did you say the next episode is called? Overtime?
The next episode is called The After Hours.
After Hours. I want to say because of like technical stuff. Like, what if, and this is my something to do with next episode. After Hours is when you have, where a lot of companies do like a maintenance thing, right? Because and they shut down and restart something, right? Or do an update, because that's when the least amount of people are essentially online. So I think there's going to be something to that sort for the next episode. Just saying. I don't know.
Interesting. I feel Gemma's gone. I mean, I really feel like that she's fractured already, and I'm really liking Big Bro's take on where we might go, even though it is coinciding with your speculation as well. And I do like the fact that also that you're speculating, Shane, that it could be either or, right? I mean, I would love to see both the Audis and Gemma get back together. In reality, that's what I want to. That's the ending I want to see, but I don't think that's the ending we're gonna get, just because of how damaged I think Gemma is. I think with those, is it 6 rooms she goes through daily? That's 6 personalities she's constantly going through. For how long? We don't know. We don't know how long they've been screwing with her head. And then, you know, the same thing with the reintegration process of it not actually being what it really is. I think once you're severed, you made that choice, and that's it. Yeah, at least that's my take on that. Shane, or who's left? I'm sorry.
I think I already went.
Okay, yeah, we're going all over the place here. All right, so then let's go for the last thing right here, guys. Last speculation of the night, and then we'll have our final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here. The Egan strike back with a new Severance twist. Speculation: Will Cobell's betrayal, with Cobell's betrayal threatening their legacy, the Egans, James or Helena, might unveil a countermeasure in episode 9, a next-gen severance procedure or a contingency like Cold Harbor to reassert control. This could involve forcibly resevering Mark, targeting the MDR team, or even deploying a new tech based on Cobell's stolen designs, escalating the stakes as the season nears its finale. Hell, here's the question. What new nightmare could the Egans unleash to protect their empire, and will it push Cobell and Mark closer together or tear them apart?
Oof. I think I kind of answered my space from last time.
Do you need me to repeat this again?
One more time.
Yes,
for me.
one more time.
Sorry.
Okay, guys. Okay. All right. For the final speculation of episode 9, it's called The Egan Strike Back with a New Severance Twist. So here's the speculation the AI is speculating out of all the data that I fed it from episode 8 and 7. With Cobell's betrayal threatening their legacy, the Egans, James or Helena, might unveil a countermeasure in episode 9, a next-gen severance procedure or a contingency like Cold Harbor to reassert their control. This could involve forcibly resevering Mark, targeting the MDR team, or even deploying a new tech based on Cobell's stolen designs, escalating the stakes as the season nears its finale. So the question is, what new nightmares could the Egans unleash to protect their empire? And will it push Cobell and Mark closer together or tear them apart? So basically, what bad things could Lumon do? And will it really just kind of like sever our ragtag team from teaming up, or kind of like screw them over?
Oh, they can definitely turn on the "I control you now." We have it where they're not really like controlling them; they're just letting them be severed.
The
But
overtime contingency.
Yeah. But at a certain point with Gemma, they can control you. Like they're you have a chip in your head. You know what I mean? Like they're who's to say that they can't create their army, and an army that will do things, will not remember that they did things, and be able to keep doing terrible things because they don't remember it. You know, like how many people in the military would wish that they can send their soldiers out there, do crazy nutso stuff, and then have no PTSD because they don't remember the things that they did. All they remember is their training. You know what I mean? So it can get, they can unleash some really nutso stuff, and they definitely have contingency plans because they told her to her face, like, oh, you overplayed your hand. You've been on the ground level and you've been staring at the mice, where I've had people looking at your technology, perfecting your technology, and you should see the limits that we've been able to do in Brazil, Lumon area, where like there's no regulatory. We don't care about these people, and we did all sorts of stuff over here. You know what I mean? So there's lots of things, and we saw that they can clone people in like little creepy pointing people. Like it's all weird. We still don't have the answers of the people that are watching them the entire time. They're studying them, like they're lookalikes. So there's all sorts of things that we have no idea the level of Lumon's power that when it's focused and it can strike down, like the power of these companies. You know what I mean? Like only certain people have tried to trifle with them and survive. Most of them you don't hear about. You know what I mean? Like they get snuffed by lawyers and stuff like that. And some people like Lumon who have pretty much everything on these people, that they can do big damage. You know what I mean? So will it bring them together? I think to a certain point, but I think that like I believe that the things that Cobell has done in her past, even though she wants to atone for them, is going to be a lot for Mark to have to swallow and handle, especially because it was things that were being done to him and somebody like his wife. You know,
I got speculation here. So so this kind of goes. I think the AI is alluding to something, because like it is asking us what we think Lumen could be doing as a nefarious thing. And in a previous question, it also asked, do we think Lumen could be like dispatching like an assassin or something else, or some type of individual? So I think what could tear apart this alliance with Cobell and Mark is because we don't know all the personalities that Gemma has encompassed. We only know a few. They didn't show us everything. How do we know Sienna right here isn't an assassin? You know what I mean? And wouldn't it be crazy? The one person that he's trying to save is the one coming to kill him, right? So like if they just reprogram Gemma, and she's like and like she plays assassins in other TV shows, guys. She's a perfect actress to be a villain. And they reprogram her and they come after the ragtag team. That would definitely throw a wedge in their alliance, because that's his wife. You know what I mean? So that's what I think might happen.
What if it's Irving? What if Irving's the assassin, dude?
It could be anybody though, right? But like I just go with the wife, because that would drive a wedge between Mark and Cobell.
Oh man,
because of Cobell's tech, right? And basically Cobell's tech is what's really fragmenting the wife right now. Go ahead, Shane.
I actually want to come back to what Dee had said about what happens when you do at the end of the night when there's not a lot of people working. The idea of doing a reboot. What if
the after hour?
Yeah, what if they just say, "Oh, you guys are up to no good? Well, we'll just reset the system and just start back from zero."
Firmware update. And all of a sudden, Helly's like, "All right, you're ready to go find Gemma?" And Mark's like, "Who's Gemma? What are you talking about? And who are you? I just got here." Like, wow,
that would be messed up.
That would be so messed up.
You don't need an assassin. You just reset everything.
Control.
That would be just as harsh when Jim was trying to escape and Milchek caught her. It was just, that's a gut punch. Ugh.
Yeah.
I love speculating. It's so
fun. I feel like we're gonna get an announcement that Heliar is pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's like Mark's chance to be a father. So he won't do anything to mess it up and go to the outside world.
Yeah, I agree.
Oof.
Womp womp
womp.
Womp
womp. Well, that is it, guys. That is the Severed Floor right there. We've gone through 8 breakdowns and 5 speculations. The 5 speculations was done through ChatGPT. Was it better through ChatGPT versus Grok? I don't know, guys. You tell me.
I think it cooked on a couple. I was like, all right, ChatGPT, there you go. That's a good spec.
We're still training it. It's a work in progress. Kind of like Lumon Industries.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, so we have 2 more episodes left. We have the After Hour, which is episode 9, and then we have Cold Harbor, which is episode 10, which is the season finale of Severance. So we're coming back up for 2 more episodes, and then it's done, guys. And I'm assuming we're going to come back again next week for another breakdown, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do it.
And after we're done, we're going to have a fruit party. With blue balloons.
Yeah, what was the name of the party that that Devin got? The weird dancing downstairs.
Man, I don't know.
A reintegration dance party or something like that. Like,
yeah, what was the name of that?
Oh man,
I forget. We gotta go take a look though.
Yeah,
we definitely need to do like a once the season finale happens, we gotta have like a digestible episode, like a decompression episode after that, because I think we're gonna get gut punched. I really feel like we're gonna get gut punched. So
it's so funny because now we had a break from our characters, and so now like we're just excited to get back into them. Like you know, like oh man, yeah.
That's our team right there, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I think someone's gonna die in the season finale.
Oh,
I don't know who. I think someone's gonna die. I mean, it just makes sense to kill someone off, especially someone we like. And when I mean someone we like, it may be either Milchek, because I actually like Milchek.
Oh.
I think he's a very compelling character. I like how he's very Shakespearean in his words. But yeah, I think someone is gonna kick the bucket in the season finale. So that's my
Oof.
speculation, nation. Final words, Big Bro.
Yeah, this show is really, really good. I love shows that make me think. I love shows that make me just want to talk to other people and get their ideas. I think a sign of a good show is something that we all did was immediately go and look at different breakdowns and listen to what people have to say. It's just like just figure it all out. I can't get enough of like talking about the show with different people. Like it's fun. We sat here for 2.5 hours and talked about this show because of how good it is, and that's just a testament to the directing, the writing, the acting, the like everything. I think they did a really good job, and they are just doing a great job with the show. Like Shane said, I hope that they have it fleshed out to they're doing what they want and they have a direction and they're not going to get taken over by Lumen Apple.
Lumen Apple.
Shane, always a pleasure, Shane, having you on the podcast.
Man, this is so much fun. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, you know, this show brought in you know, the four of us as friends to have a conversation, and you couldn't ask for more from a show to be able to just enjoy ourselves together and you know, share ideas. And you know, a 37-minute show gave us 2.5 hours worth of content to talk about. Yeah, you know, I can't wait. We got 2 more to go, and then who knows how long we got to wait? Do we wait a year? Do we wait 2 years? You know, so we got a lot of time to think about it, let it digest. Hopefully not too long, because we got Miss Wong. She's gonna, you know, should be 30 years old by the time we get to the final. Maybe she'll take over.
Well, I think so. Like the way Apple works, I've noticed like they try a show out, and if it's successful, then they start streamlining and wrapping up quicker. Because they did that with like For All Mankind and all these other shows. So I feel like now that people are falling in love with this show, they'll put more priority. Same happened with like, you know, and I get it, scheduling. Maybe some of these actors are like busy with other projects, and so that derails them. But like, you know, I think a lot of these guys are committed to this show. So I'm hoping we have a faster turnaround for season 3.
Yeah.
Now to kind of go off of what Shane said, you know, guys, like I was asked this, like, holy crap, you guys are doing 5 shows, but you know, the one show makes no sense. Why do the Severed Floor? I'm like, you guys don't get it. Like us 4, we hung out in Vegas. We were called the Fremont Crew, and so like just an excuse for us 4 to get together just to talk story. This was it. This was it. We jumped at the chance, like, hell yeah, we'll do something.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with ratings or likes or anything. This has to do with friendship, guys. We're up here wanting to talk about, you know, our fandoms. That's what got us into this whole thing. And so like,
and I love that we don't talk about it at all with each other until we go on the show. Like I love it.
Yes.
We gotta save our speculations for the show.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's a beautiful thing, guys, and that's the reason why we do this show. It's because we're just a bunch of friends that just want to get together and hang out. You know what I mean? And we flesh out enough time because we're all busy guys. Shane's a busy guy. Big Bro's a busy guy. You guys already know we're busy. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. We got 2 more episodes. I think the season finale will be our longest episode ever because I think we're gonna have so much to talk about, and we're gonna have to decompress together.
Yeah.
We might have to get more people on. I don't know. We'll see. But this has been enjoyable. Thank you guys for coming on. D, final words.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't take too long. It should just be like Lumen time, you know? You wake up and it's boom. Season 3 is here. Awesome. Yeah. Just get zapped. But yeah, I mean, anyone that was in the chats, if you want to come up too and just kind of, just hang out and talk about the show together on the panel, you're more than welcome to. Or just put your thoughts and questions in the comments, which is fine. But yeah, this has been really fun. Um, I'm excited for the next 2 episodes, but also at the same time, I'm not, because I know that means we're gonna have to wait afterwards. So any writers, and please don't go on strike, because then we're gonna have to wait even longer.
Don't
Yes.
say that.
No more strikes.
No
That's
more
what took
strikes.
That's what took out Picard season 4. Don't say that.
Yeah, so thinking very positively, that it's gonna come right around the corner very soon. But yeah, it's been a really fun show, crazy show, but it's been really fun to come and talk to you guys about it and just kind of see like where, because everyone has got different speculations and thoughts, or something that they caught either by watching it again or watching the breakdown videos, and just kind of like sharing these little tidbits and little breadcrumbs on, and just connecting characters with the episodes in season 1. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, so it's been really fun. So thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, guys. I mean, like I said, and we're all family up here. This has been a really good, fun time. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Severed Floor. And also, if anybody wants to join us in the conversation, feel free to message D or anybody on this panel if you want to be a part of this. Anybody watching, there's people in the back I know that are watching. We would love to have you up here. You don't have to show your face. If you don't even want to come up, please interact in the comments. We want to have this interaction. We're just a bunch of geeks and fandoms like you that love the show, and we want to talk about it. I mean, look, even the CEO of Vivi showed up and wanted to give a little bit of participation. You guys can as well. Until then, guys, we will see you next week. Actually, D and I will see you guys tomorrow. But we will see you guys next week on the Severed Floor. Take care, guys. Until the next time. Aloha.
Bye.